good point. Yeah, I mean, we what happened with the 737 is they over-engineered the software, and the software crashed the plane and killed everybody.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't done anything, right, the pilots would have done just fine. I think that's the argument in favor of simplicity, right? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
And in mission critical systems, you see this a lot in the military. You see it when someone's life depends on something. Oftentimes, you would opt for the low-tech solution where you can verify it with your own eyes. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want a piece of software that runs a million lines of code that tells me, right, that the thing is stable. I want to test it myself, or I want to see it, right, that it's stable. But I think, to your point, the difference is, when software drives a car, the software may kill you. And when software flies an airplane, the software may kill 100 people or 500 people or 1,000. But when software runs the monetary network, may kill 1 billion. Actually, the truth is we got two problems, two extremes. One extreme, and maybe they're both the same. One extreme is central bankers running the monetary system, and every time they change something, they make it worse.
Yeah. And
we just saw that happen in Britain this week. Just chaos. $1 trillion changes hands, right? And the bankers say, "Oh well, we were busy trying to keep, a bunch of pension funds and institutions from losing from a massive loss of billions of dollars." What they don't say is we were busy keeping a bunch of rational investors on the other side of the trade from making billions of dollars.
Yes, amen.
Right. I mean, they took 100 billion from one group and gave it to another group that happened to be politically connected, and they masquerade as virtuously protecting the system from a meltdown. What they were doing was they were keeping the system from rationally correcting to a fair interest rate and rewarding rational thinkers that did hazard,
yes,
right?
Yes,
Punish the wise, reward the foolish, and create an insane world where the only way to get ahead is to act foolish. And if anybody ever fixes the world, everybody dies. So they turn the world upside down. And they did that manually. The danger with software-driven systems is you might inadvertently put, some piece of code in the system, meant to optimize for something, and it just goes catastrophically awry, and it crashes the entire system for everybody else. And this is it's a classic example of the phrase, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Mm-hmm. Right? The whole problem with most of these networks is they're continually chasing perfection, and they're willing to accept all sorts of ineffable, non-quantifiable risk that they don't understand.
Yes.
In order to pursue a tangible benefit they can see. So the fact that we managed to avoid a $50 billion loss by a pension fund is used as the justification to inflict $1 trillion of damage on everybody else that's not on the phone. Mm-hmm. But I'm not wise enough to necessarily conceptualize the $1 trillion of damage I'm doing. Or maybe I am, but it's just they're not screaming at me right now. So I'm going to take the expedient path. To that point, if all you do is write software, then the only thing you can ever do is improve virtual circumstances. So anything that's software only means you're creating a virtual machine to move imaginary tokens around to achieve an imaginary goal, to create imaginary happiness. And you'll never get out of that metaverse. You're kind of trapped in the metaverse. And if we were wired in cubicles getting fed by through a feeding tube or an IV, and we never moved and we lived in our brains, then maybe you would just focus on that metaverse. But that is literally like the Matrix. If, on the other hand, you want to improve things in the universe, if you have interest in solving problems in the universe, like clean water or healthy food or a comfortable environment or providing people with physical luxury, then you have to build machines and you have to manipulate matter and energy. So the number one problem with all the non-energy based cryptos is they're all just software programs. And so you can write 100 million billion software programs. They're never going to feed you. And the only way that you're going to change the real universe is plug a piece of software into a machine. And so Bitcoin mining is really the digital energy business. And what you're doing is you've got a software protocol plugged into a machine. And the machine is converting electricity, intermittent electricity anywhere in the earth, powered by any energy source, into digital energy. And it's also creating security and integrity. So what you're getting is you're getting a block of digital energy, an asset that you can move around at the speed of light, friction-free, but you're also getting a block of digital energy, digital scarcity, digital money that will last forever. And so the entire network is therefore monetizing energy. And that means you've created a machine to convert waste energy into digital energy. That's really valuable for remediating methane or remediating stranded natural gas. It's also useful for monetizing stranded geothermal or stranded any other power. You're never going to monetize stranded power or waste power with a software-only program, right? So all the proof-of-stake networks are irrelevant. They're not to solving an energy problem because they're not interfacing with energy. So the real value of Bitcoin to the energy business is I can monetize intermittent energy, I can monetize stranded energy, I can recycle wasted energy, I can create an economic sponsor to either develop an energy source where it would not be economically viable, right? So I've got a small stranded group of people that need energy and I can't afford to build a plant to scale for them unless I pair a Bitcoin miner with their colony. So I can deliver energy to a place that needs it. And one example would be a small group of people that need it or a small business that needs it. Another example would be I need to run a generator on a methane flare, right? And it costs money to bring in the generator, right? Mm-hmm. So it costs money to remediate the methane flaring, and I can't afford to do that if there's no customer for the electricity that I generate or the pure energy I create. So Bitcoin allows you to pursue all sorts of these energy monetization strategies at different frequencies, at different scale, intermittently and off of different sources. It also allows you to cross political jurisdictions. So, if you look at why Bitcoin mining is interesting, it would be interesting to any nation that wanted a hard currency export. So if I might do Bitcoin mining just to generate hard currency when I have no other natural buyer for my exports.
Yeah.
I might do Bitcoin mining to monetize stranded or waste energy because I have no customer. I might do Bitcoin mining because I have an interest in the security itself. And I might have capital that I just want to put into this, right? So if I have extra capital, I might do it because I have extra semiconductor capacity too. So there are a lot of motives for this, but in terms of environmental conservation, it seems to me to be the only technology that can monetize stranded or waste energy or remediate, environmental flaring at any scale, anywhere.